All right, guys, so we have some UFO slash UAP news today. And if you guys know, this is probably my favorite topic because I think it is probably one of the most fascinating stories that I have ever followed, okay? And the government, the New York Times here, is coming out with an interesting headline about the UFO slash UAP report that is supposed to be released to Congress sometime this month. We don't know exactly when, but it's expected to be before June 25th. And this report is highly anticipated, okay? Highly anticipated. Because this is basically the most transparency that we've gotten from the government regarding this topic in a long time. However, it seems that the transparency is coming to an end, as the New York Times is reporting in their headline here. And pay attention carefully. They're saying, U.S. finds no evidence of alien technology in flying objects, but can't rule it out either. Okay, so basically, the military is saying we can neither confirm nor deny, right? That's basically what they're saying here, right? But essentially, they're telling people you're not going to get evidence that this is aliens in this report. We're not going to tell you that. Now, guys, I don't know if it's aliens. I don't know what it is. Okay, I'm just fascinated to find out what it is, because the U.S. is not the only country interested in this, and this is something I'm going to go over a little bit later in the video. But what the U.S. government is already trying to tell people, right, about this subject tells you that they don't want to talk about this. The Pentagon does not want to talk about this. The military does not want to talk about this. And the only reason they're talking about this is because they're being forced to talk about it, because a group of insiders have basically made the government acknowledge this stuff through media pressure and pressure from the public. That's why when people say, oh, the government's doing this as a distraction, that to me, it just doesn't hold water, because the government does not want to talk about this, right? Biden refused to answer questions about it. Nobody really wants to talk about it. They're forced to talk about it. So therefore, that's why they are talking about it. So what they're saying here about what this report is going to conclude is super interesting already, because it just shows how much the government really wants this topic to go away, right? They do not want to talk about this. So let's read a little bit more here. American intelligence officials have found no evidence that aerial phenomenon witnessed by Navy pilots in recent years are alien spacecraft, but they still cannot explain the unusual movements that have mystified scientists and the military, according to senior administration officials briefed on the findings of a highly anticipated government report. Now, this is interesting because most people, right, are just going to read the headlines. And honestly, guys, the headlines, they're much more ambiguous than this. They're much more deceptive than this. They basically say government finds no evidence that UFOs are aliens. And that's all they say. And most people, when they read that type of headline, they're not going to read the actual article. Okay, they're not going to read the article. They're just going to read the headline and say, oh, okay, no aliens, right? The Pentagon said it's not aliens. It's over. It's done with. That's what most people are going to do. And I don't think this is being done on accident. But when you actually read the articles, they actually say, well, hey, we can't say that it is, but we also can't say that it isn't. Okay, which again should be no surprise to any of us here. It's just interesting to me how all the headlines, all the news outlets are leading with that headline. Okay, and again, to me, that's a signal that the government is basically saying, listen, let's try to hype down this report here and not have the public speculate too much in regards to if this is something that is possibly extraterrestrial. The report determines that a vast majority of more than 120 incidents over the past 2 decades did not originate from any American military or other advanced U.S. technology. The official said the determination would appear to eliminate the possibility that Navy pilots who reported seeing unexplained aircraft might have encountered programs the government meant to keep secret. So now it's also not us. So that's what the government's saying here. But That is about the only conclusive finding in the classified intelligence report, the official said. And while a forthcoming unclassified version expected to be released to Congress by June 25th will present few other firm conclusions, senior officials briefed on the intelligence conceded that the very ambiguity of the findings meant the government could not definitely rule out theories that the phenomena observed by military pilots might be alien spacecraft. Americans' long-running fascination with UFOs has intensified in recent weeks in anticipation of the release of the government report. Former President Barack Obama further stoked the interest when he asked last month about the incidents on the Late Late Show with James Corden on CBS. Quote, "What is true, and I actually am being serious here," Mr. Obama said, "is that there is footage and records of objects in the skies that we don't know exactly what they are. The report further concedes that much about the observed phenomenon remains difficult to explain, including their acceleration as well as ability to change direction and submerge. One possible explanation that the phenomenon could be weather balloons or other research balloons does not hold up in all cases," the official said, because of changes in wind speed at the time of some of the interactions. Okay, so this is also what they're saying. They're saying we have no evidence that it's aliens. It's not us. And we know it's not weather balloons, right? Which, again, kind of is a jab at all the debunkers out there who have, for whatever reason, they think that they have an ability to recognize these things better than the Navy or the military does, when they have trained technicians and trained pilots who, you know, are trained to see this stuff at the highest level. Okay, they have technicians that are trained to use this technology to be able to identify benign objects like weather balloons. And for whatever reason, you have people out there that think that they can explain it better than the military, even though the military is saying it's unexplained. Now, I'm not saying that the military is telling the truth. I'm not saying that. But I find it hard to believe that the military would put something out there that's so easily explainable that some random YouTuber can just explain it and then say, well, we can't explain it, considering all the advanced technology. I just don't think the military would embarrass themselves like that. Okay? I just don't think they would. So, again, they're basically going down the list here. The final report will also include a classified annex, the official said. While the annex will not contain any evidence concluding that the phenomena are alien spacecraft, the officials acknowledged that the fact that it will remain off limits to the public was likely to continue to fuel speculation that the government had secret data about alien visitations to Earth. Many of the more than 120 incidents examined in the report are from Navy personnel, officials said. The report also examined incidents involving foreign militaries over the last 2 decades. Intelligence officials believe at least some of the aerial phenomenon could have been experimental technology from a rival power, most likely Russia or China. One senior official briefed on intelligence said without hesitation that the U.S. officials knew it was not American technology. He said there was worry among intelligence and military officials that China or Russia could be experimenting with hypersonic technology. He and other officials spoke on the condition of anonymity because they were not authorized to speak publicly about the classified findings in the report. Russia has been investing heavily in hypersonics, believing the technology offers it the ability to evade American missile defense technology. China has also developed hypersonic weaponry and included it in military parades. If the phenomenon were Chinese or Russian aircraft, officials said, that would suggest the two powers' hypersonic research had far outpaced American military development. All right, so what they're saying here is, hey, it could be China or Russia. Okay, their hypersonic technology could have outpaced ours. Now, again, I got questions about that too, because we've been seeing these things since World War II. This is not a recent phenomenon. Okay, people pretend like it is, but it's really not. Okay, and there's also other capabilities such as being able to shut off nukes. Okay, and other things that, you know, I think really need some explaining and explanations that go far beyond just, you know, its ability to move in directions that are hard to explain. Okay, and you would have to assume that Russia or China had this technology before we did, a long time ago before we did, and I just find that really hard to believe. I'm not saying it's not possible, but at this point, what the government is saying is that they can either confirm or deny that it's aliens, it's not weather balloons, it's not us, and it could be Russia or China. Now, it's interesting because the China Morning Post, right, actually posted an article talking about how the Chinese military is using AI to track rapidly increasing UFOs. So China is also dealing with the UFO problem. They also don't know what it is, okay? All these countries are dealing with this problem. So essentially, China is saying it ain't ours either, right? Like, so I mean, to a certain extent, to be fair, okay? And I will read this article, but they got a paywall, so I'm just gonna read the headlines here. The People's Liberation Army. To the People's Liberation Army, they are identified air conditions and artificial intelligence is the best way to keep up with them. Chinese researchers confirm that sightings reports from across the country are on the rise, but aliens are unlikely to be responsible. Okay, so I did actually read this article before I had a paywall on it. And essentially, they're saying that the Chinese military is seeing the same things that we're seeing in terms of the capability of these aircraft, right? The ability to move in certain directions very quickly, to accelerate very quickly, to submerge on the water, things like that. They're seeing the same things, okay? And they're also saying it's unidentified. But the Chinese scientists are saying that they don't think that it's of extraterrestrial origin. They think it's of human origin, okay? So, you know, take that with a grain of salt. Again, I don't know. I'm pretty passionate about this subject because it's just, again, I think it's fascinating stuff. But I'm not really trying to convince anybody of anything except that this is a serious topic, right? I think it's a serious topic, and I think it's important to eliminate the stigma around it because this is happening, okay? And if, you know, you've actually, you know, researched this topic, you will understand that this is something that is not recent, and this is something that other governments have been dealing with. And they're unable to identify this as well. And so at this point, you know, something's going on here, right? Somebody is either lying or there's something out of this world, or maybe, who knows, from this world, okay, that we just have not discovered yet that could be among us, right? That could be trolling our military and trolling the militaries across the world. So at the end of the day, I don't know. Right. And it seems that we're not going to know from this Pentagon report. But when it does come out, I will talk about the specifics. But as of right now, the mainstream media is basically telling people, don't get your hopes up about the government coming out with disclosure that, hey, it's aliens anytime soon. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.